just at your level first.
So did you enjoy that MedLab talk? Great. Can all relate to that. Well, we're the 2017 class of the Leadership Academy, and my name is Sam Tritle, and I'm from Wisconsin.
My name is Rachel DeChant, and I'm from Colorado.
Erin Frazier from Alaska.
I'm Alex Storla from Georgia.
James Gardner from Louisiana.
Lindsay Foos from Michigan.
And we're here to share with you a valuable tool that we've created to share the voice and vision of ASCLS. Rather than just explaining the concept, we're going to model it for you today. With that, Allie, tell us about the undiscovered career of medical laboratory science.
I'm in the emergency room. I'm not sure what's wrong with me, but my side has been hurting all day and it just won't stop. I'm scared. A nurse is taking care of me. She's drawing my blood. She's drawing my blood into different colored tubes, just like we do at the animal hospital where I work part-time. My mind focuses on the wonderful tubes of blood, and I begin to wonder, where will my tubes of blood go? Who will test my tubes of blood? What will they find out? How can I do that? As soon as I was discharged, I did what anyone does in the information age when you have a question just eating away at you. I Googled it. This was my first step towards learning about the profession known by many names: medical technology, clinical laboratory science, or medical laboratory science. This was my first step towards, I already have a degree in biology. Isn't that enough? And why are there so many paths to certification on the ASCP website? I will never forget that feeling of excitement and intimidation when I looked at the subjects that I was going to learn in a medical laboratory science program. Chemistry, hematology, microbiology, immunology, molecular, immunohematology, or blood banking. I was going to learn all of these. After finding out about medical laboratory science, I soon learned that there were very few programs in my area. I was almost done with my first degree in biology, so I began looking at requirements and submitting applications. I did this while I continued to work 2 jobs, one as a veterinary assistant at an animal hospital, and the other as a Salesforce team member at Target. Biology degrees, unfortunately for me, are one of the top 10 majors for the United States, which meant after graduation, I had a lot of competition when applying for jobs. At one point, I was working 3 jobs while going back to school for microbiology. I took an overnight job as a specimen processor for a large Quest-like animal reference lab while continuing to work at Target in the animal hospital. None of these jobs were compensating me well, and I struggled with my bills. The frustration of having a degree and very limited means to pay for the loans I'd accumulated earning it weighed on me every single day. While in the middle of working 3 jobs, going back to school, I received a rejection letter from my first choice medical technology program. I was devastated. At this point, I was at my lowest low, and I wanted to give up. I didn't, but I really wanted to. The road ahead looked hard, but the future was too promising, too good of a fit. I had found a degree that would make me much more marketable than I was with only my biology degree, doing something I actually enjoyed. I spent my days desperately applying to any job that even mentioned the word biology. And 6 months later, I finally got a call back from one of the jobs I'd applied for. This call led to my employment as a technician in a clean room for a company verifying the sterility of various medical products for the FDA. I was unable to negotiate my pay any higher than the initial offer, but I was finally earning enough I didn't have to work 3 jobs anymore. I was still very short of my salary expectations, though, and this job was also extremely physically demanding, with heavy lifting and opening and closing jars of media all day long. I learned a lot, but this was definitely not a forever job for me. I applied again to the medical laboratory programs nearest to me, and again, I was unfortunately rejected from my first choice program. However, I was accepted into Georgia Medical College's clinical laboratory science program. I was so happy. I'd finally gotten accepted into a program. My program was difficult, but my background in veterinary and medicine, and the classes I had taken for my BS in biology prepared me for this field. I worked hard throughout my program, and I continued working hard during my clinical internship. After I passed my boards, I was given a job offer for my internship site. I never interviewed for my current position, and I was able to negotiate a higher salary because of my work experience. This is my white coat ceremony. Medical laboratory science programs are not easy. Medical laboratory technician programs are not easy. Phlebotomy programs are not easy. The demands for working in these professions and for succeeding in these academic programs are no different. Each require incredible volumes of knowledge, study, hard work, discipline, resilience, skill, and patience. Not everyone makes it through these programs. Several program directors I've spoken to acknowledge not every applicant is a good match for these programs. Some applicants only see job openings, salary, benefits, without seriously considering how much hard work it takes to get to the other side. This is unfortunate, as the shortage in this field is very real, and it's getting worse, with an estimated 12,000 new laboratory professionals being needed annually, and only 5,000 currently graduating. We need quality medical laboratory professionals, and the current graduation rates are not enough to keep up with demand. This gap must be overcome, as medical laboratory scientists and the tests we perform are essential to healthcare. Estimates of over 5 billion laboratory tests are performed in the United States each year, making it the single highest volume medical activity. An estimated 70% of a physician's medical decisions on any one patient are influenced by laboratory test data. And more physicians are increasingly relying on laboratory test results. These laboratory test results must be obtained by qualified medical laboratory professionals who can verify their accuracy. Positive patient outcomes depend on this. Medical laboratory science is so much more than a job. This career has opened doors for me. I'm in a position to pay off my student loan debt, and on June 1st of this year, my husband and I closed on our first home. I'm able to contribute my ideas to my workplace as well as to the American Society for Clinical Laboratory Science and feel valued. When I go to work, I get to do something I love every day that helps people. In today's job market, very few bachelor's degrees are guaranteed to be marketable. Medical laboratory science master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, doctorate degrees, and associate degrees are in short supply but in high demand. These careers provide stability, job security, living wages, benefits, retirement planning, and often many more great opportunities. This career has the potential to guide healthcare to be more efficient, improve patient outcomes, and employ many individuals with well-paying, meaningful, and rewarding careers. If you have a background in biology and are looking for a career that is dynamic, exciting, and technology-driven, then look no further. And whatever you do, don't give up.
Thanks, Allie. Created in the likeness of TED Talks, MEDLAB Talks Like Allie's are a structured speaker series where a speaker presents medical laboratory science-related information in 18 minutes or less. MEDLAB Talks is the addition ASCLS needs to continue success at live events and on social media. Now, let's learn more about the Leadership Academy from Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. Who here this morning saw the speaker, the keynote speaker? So a lot of people. So you know how she was talking about this morning, she was just as nervous as she was for her first ASCLS talk? That's me right now. But enough about me, I want to talk about you guys right now. I want you to picture yourself in your career. Are you exactly where you want to be? Are you a new tech, maybe looking for the next step in your profession? Maybe you want to just do more for your passion. Or have you been in your profession for a while? Maybe thought about doing something different than just going to work every day. So finally last year, I felt bold enough to do more with an ASCLS. I have been graduated for 2 years. Someone mentioned the Leadership Academy. Sorry, again, I'm really nervous. Someone mentioned the Leadership Academy, so I asked a few past graduates to see what they thought of it, and I decided that it was for me. I wasn't sure if I had what it took. How could I be like these leaders that I see every year at the meeting? But now here I am, just 1 year later, with the nervousness and excitement that Kathy Doig had this morning. So in the past year, I worked with a lot of people that have a lot more knowledge and experience than I do. But I feel now that I can comfortably state my opinion and change things. And this profession is always changing, and we need these new leaders that are willing to make these changes. I've also had the opportunities to mingle with a lot of people, and they have the same vision and drive that I do. Not only that, but this morning, everyone kept telling me, everyone is here supporting you during your talk. To me, that is a family. I now have a nationwide family within ASCLS. Also, I just wanted to point this out. These are your future leaders, and I am so excited to be able to work with them in the future. I also made myself known within ASCLS. Because I joined this, the next president asked me if I would be her awards chair at Michigan. And I've made a job change, and on my resume I put my ASCLS experience. And they pointed it out, asked what is the Leadership Academy, and because of that they've asked me to fill out a profile so they can place me appropriately in the future. Over the past year, I also found my strengths and weaknesses in my leadership style and my communication. So now I know how I and I alone can affect things. So picture yourself again. What words would you use to describe yourself as a leader? Do you want to add any more words? Maybe learn things that describe yourself that you never knew you even had before. Leadership Academy was also my further education. When I graduated, I thought it was assumed I have to go get a master's. Do I want a master's right now? What do I want it in? What do I want to do for the rest of my life? But the Leadership Academy gave me the skills and experience that I was looking for right now. Not only that, I got to spend the money that I would have had on my education on going to meetings and having this experience. And today, ending this, I'm not in any more debt than I was when I began. Speaking of meetings, at this early in my career, I probably would not have gone to 2 national meetings in a row or the legislative symposium. I was able to meet more people than just in my state chapter. I was able to see how everything works as a whole. I saw how the national, regional, and state chapters interact. And at the legislative symposium, I saw how we really could change things in our everyday lives. Sorry, I totally forgot about my slides because I'm nervous. So I just want to point out, the mission of ASCLS is to make a positive impact in healthcare through leadership that will assure excellence in the practice of laboratory medicine. So to me, it says that we need to make a positive impact in healthcare through leadership. So I need to get the skills to fight for my profession to ensure that I keep doing what I do every day. And it's my responsibility to be a part of this organization at my full potential. So the Leadership Academy is designed to prepare ASCLS members for current and future leadership roles in the organization by providing a structured program of study of critical leadership topics. To me, this is saying that it will give me the tools that I've been looking for to become what I have always dreamt to be. And on another note, happy 10-year anniversary to the Leadership Academy. They obviously do something right if they've lasted this long. I want to point out that a lot of our leaders are either graduates or have taught these classes. So is this possibly the solution for younger professionals to take over the leadership within ASCLS? So do you feel the same way that I did last year? Are you involved? Maybe you want to be more involved? Not sure if you have the skills yet? Maybe you just want to make that next step in your career. Just imagine where you could be next year.
These These MedLab talks, like Lindsay's, present ideas that are new and surprising, make arguments that may compel you into action, like Lindsay's, and even bring forth challenges to widely held beliefs. Because that's what MedLab talks are all about. For example, Erin will share with you the 5 steps she used to improve the relationship of laboratory professionals with other healthcare providers. Hi, how are you guys doing? All right. So I just want you to think for a minute about a typical laboratory professional RN interaction in your hospital. Just think about it for a second. Now, did you think about, or maybe this, or even this? I used to think about those things too. I used to buy into this whole anti-nurse campaign that seems to kind of surround our profession. But a little over a year ago, I took a management position at the lab that I work at now, and I had to start interacting with different parts of the organization, with nurses and doctors, and really collaborating with them as a team. And throughout all of this stuff, I kind of decided where the problem was. It wasn't really with nursing, and I hate to say it, it was kind of with us. I mean, we were perceived as hostile towards nurses for being paid more, for being respected more, for being recognized more. But why? So I kind of took it upon myself, with the help of my director, to figure out a way to solve this problem. Wow, it's hard to talk in front of you guys. I started looking at what we could do as a department. What can we be doing better? What can we do to facilitate a more functional and healthy relationship? I mean, the answer was simple: customer service. We need to remember who our customers are. They're not only our patients. Our customers are also our nurses who rely on us to give them their results, the doctors who rely on us sometimes to interpret them for them. They are our customers, and we need to provide service happily and with a smile on our face. So we started easy. I know as a general rule, we're pretty adverse to change around in the lab community. So we started in my facility with phone etiquette. So no more answering the phone with lab and waiting for the other person to eventually tell us what they wanted on the other end of the phone. It turned into, laboratory, this is Erin. Oh, hi, Helen, or Dr. Smith, or whoever's on the other end. How can I help you today? And in just a few weeks of just that, hi, how are you, conversation, their guard started to come down. They didn't come at us so aggressively. So that relationship really started to change. And it quickly transitioned into our patients. At my facility, techs have to draw patients. And sometimes we feel like that's not our job. You know, I do have a phlebotomist. But it became like, hi, how can I help you? Now, I'm not saying a smile is going to fix everything, but what it did was it allowed those other teams to become more responsive to us. Through several meetings with the RN manager, it was clear that both teams could do more. So we decided that the laboratory person would go to the RN meetings that are every Wednesday. So we would go and convey something that kind of generally they needed to know, and listen to them what they needed from us. So with a brief 15-minute conversation, we could learn things. For example, right after I took this laboratory management position, I noticed that they were only using non-sterile urine cups to do all urine collection throughout the facility. Now, we all know that's not okay. If you want a culture, I need a sterile sample. So I naively asked one of my techs to gather up a big bucket of sterile urine containers and run them down to the pods and say, hey, nurses, please collect all your sterile urine collections into these cups. You would have thought I asked them to move a mountain. Like, it was ridiculous. So, all right, so I was thinking it was going to be easy, like patient care, right? It's better for the patients if we collect them this way. But it wasn't enough. So at this next nurses meeting, I explained why I needed that urine in a sterile container and what the outcomes could be for the patients. And after a few minutes, I got a lot of that makes sense. So I think it was just kind of like a breakdown in communication. So step 1 to improving a working relationship with customers is make the sharing of information a normal practice. Send out an email every month with news from the lab. Explain things like hemolysis and blood collection so they don't think laying the blood tube on the counter for an hour and a half is what's causing the hemolysis. It doesn't have to be long or drawn out, but a polite way to be informative to the nursing staff. Step 2 is listening. What do the RNs need from us? What do our providers need from us? What can we do to help them? What questions do they have? What do they feel like is a problem? And if you can fix it or give it to them, give it to them. It's not going to break the bank. It's not going to make anything worse. They're just going to be more responsive and look at it as more of a collaborative part of healthcare. Step 3 is defining clear expectations. Define clear expectations across the lab. If I require you to put time and date on a tube, every tech in my lab better require you to put time and date on a tube. Anytime there's a discord between what somebody in that laboratory expects, that's a pothole that nurses kind of flag through, and then you get, well, I never had to do that before. So define super clear expectations and stick to it and make sure everybody's sticking to it. Step number 4 is give thanks to everyone. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, they get recognized enough. Why do I have to pat them on the back? Well, you can't simply just sit in the corner and wait for somebody to realize that you're awesome. You have to go out and do some of that patting on the back yourself. Sorry. Thank an RN who has done a draw for you. In my facility, we've instituted a thank you card program. So anytime somebody goes above and beyond, they get a thank you card with a little piece of candy. All the lab techs sign it, write little notes, and we hand deliver those. We rolled out this program earlier this year, and honestly, when it came down from my director that we should try this, I thought, who's going to tell me that, oh, the RN did their job, and they need a piece of candy now? Surprisingly, it worked out great. The first week that we instituted this program, we gave out 4 cards. 1 to the HIM department for scanning a numerous number of documents in for us. 2 for nurses who help my evening shift tech who's on his own from 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock do holds for some pediatric draws so those parents didn't have to come back. And 1 to the facilities who carried the big boxes of reagent with the frozen packs in it out to the dumpster after a reagent delivery. The last step in helping communication is kind of key. And it's resolve conflicts face to face. So if you're having a problem with someone, go talk to your supervisor. Do not run your mouth. Do not send an email. You don't want what you said to be misinterpreted when they do repeat the story. Go to your supervisor and ask for a mediated meeting with the other person, even if it's another department. This might be uncomfortable at first, but the mediation is an important step. There is nothing that can be lost in translation with an unbiased person in the room. I encourage you all to evaluate your labs as what you can do as the department that can foster a more positive relationship with other departments in the facility. This will not only help improve lab RN interactions, but also let other departments see the lab as a collaborative part of the healthcare team. Thank you. As new leaders in ASCLS, we designed MEDLABtalks to be performed by anyone, anywhere. Sometimes, great talks are given by speakers with a wealth of experience and a powerful speaking presence. But sometimes it comes from a speaker who is brand new, super fired up about ideas, and of course, probably not the first person you're going to think of to give a talk. MEDLABtalks are flexible. Rachel, tell us about when you've seen frustration in the profession and how anyone can learn to love the lab again.
Okay, my name is Rachel DeChant, and I have worked in the lab for about 11 years, 5 of them being as an MLT. Due to issues in my personal and professional life, I felt I needed a change. I started looking at other professions, as well as talking to some of my coworkers. My coworkers mentioned a few options that sounded interesting and would keep me in the lab. One of the options they mentioned was traveling. I debated this for a while, as I am really close to my family and have never really lived that far from them. I decided it might do me some good to try something new. So I started my traveling job in March, and I love it. Even though it has come with its challenges, and I am further away from my family than desired, I am still loving the opportunity that I chose. I am a planner, but have learned that sometimes it is fun and interesting to just go where life takes you as long as you're doing what you love. The average person makes a career change 5 to 7 times in their life. They do this because something is missing in their career. How do they fill that void? Through education, career advancement, or bridging into other industries where the lab degree is necessary and useful. Because people thrive on learning, I brainstormed some options to achieve that goal. Starting with going back to school for a higher degree, like doing a bridge program from MLT to MLS, or going back for a master's degree. You could also go back to school for a certain specialty, like SBB and blood bank. If you are able and willing, you could change your department, where you work currently, like going from chemistry to microbiology. Changing the type of work you do could also be an option. Instead of working in a hospital lab, try going to work in a reference lab or become a field specialist. I took an opportunity and left where I was to go to a new place where I had to learn all different analyzers and a new LIS system. It wasn't easy. The laboratory is a very versatile, exciting, and important career to be in. I am glad that I found a way to stay in the laboratory because it is what I love. Because it is my passion, and I love what I do. I just want you all to take a minute and think, what could you do to love the lab again? Thank you.
Rachel just used a MEDLAB talk to share her career journey in medical laboratory science. MEDLAB talks can be presented at schools, local ASCLS chapters, or national meetings. Better yet, they can be performed live and shared on social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook Live, or Instagram. MEDLAB Talks allows ASCLS to bring the message and power of live talks to anyone. James created a MEDLAB talk to promote the value of laboratory educational programs. Take it away, James.
I told them I was going to laugh every time they said that. Education. It's the backbone of every profession, regardless of the level of education you receive. But in our profession, we realize there's a big need for it. And since 1999, 15% of NACLS accredited programs have been closed, with many more facing closures. These are just some examples of universities that have closed programs or faced it. And in 2013, at the University of Louisiana at Monroe, the program I was attending was put up for closure. Some reasons for these closures could be the cost of the program, with the little enrollment number we get because we are the hidden profession. Universities think of cost per student. And, with the budget crisis, it's not a very profitable major for them to see and to have. And the workforce shortage, hand in hand. The less people we have working, the less clinical sites are available for our students to attend to get that one-on-one interaction with the clinical instructors, to get the quality training they need to be put out in the field immediately. But through a grassroots effort, the ULM program I attended was saved through help with hospital administration, pathologists, local community leaders, and professionals all came together to put a stop to this. Through these actions: support, educate, and recruit. Support your local programs. We are all alumni of a program. Even if you have moved, figure out where you are and find a program that you can help at with recruitment or education. And educate the university leaders and the public. As I said, we are the hidden profession. No one knows what we do, but recruitment is key. And with the educate the university leaders, with my program, the vice president of academic affairs and the president of the university stood in front of my class and told us they did not know what we did to our face. and yet they were still closing the program. With that in mind, our professors took those leaders on a hospital tour of a local area hospital, and they knew right then and there the ramifications that would be caused by closing this program. And recruit. Go to your local schools, elementary, middle, high schools. Interactive case studies. Don't just do a PowerPoint. Don't just show them a video. Give them something hands-on that gets them to realize the importance. Because without us, it's just a guess.
So today you have just heard 5 MEDLAB talks. But how many of you would feel comfortable creating a MEDLAB talk like these without any guidance at all? Earlier, I mentioned that MEDLAB talks could be performed by anyone, anywhere. But what if you've never planned a live speaking event before? Or you're not sure where to start with planning your own presentation? That's where our MEDLAB Talks Speaker Guide comes in. The guide lays out the 7 steps to MEDLAB talks, from developing an idea to giving your talk and savoring the glory. Speaker Guide is a structured blueprint you can use. Do you have a new or surprising idea? A widely held belief? Or do you have a compelling new argument you just can't? If so, we encourage you to use, educate, and promote thought-provoking and paradigm-changing ideas. The tool our profession needs to demonstrate our value to each other and to the world. See how ASCLS uses MEDLAB talks. We have some bound copies of our guide we're going to hand out. Don't have enough for everyone in the audience, but for those of you that would like to page through it, that would be great. And we'd like to entertain some discussion and some questions about the MEDLAB Talks concept and the speaker guide. Go ahead.
So how do you plan to promote these so that once they're made, they get viewed outside of our organization?
Sending it to a committee.
So now we're kind of talking about next steps. So the Leadership Academy has come up with the concept of MEDLAB Talks and created the guide. So we envision this concept possibly moving to a committee within ASCLS. But as far as any MEDLAB talk that could be published, it would be published on YouTube. And then all of our social media platforms would also promote the MEDLAB talk. That can be shared. I could share it with all my friends. And then all those folks that are outside of the medical laboratory community would also be able to view it. Does anyone else want to add anything to that? Okay. That's right. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Lindsay. In the back. Okay.
Do you have this, or will it be available on the ASCLS website?
Yes, Jim was going to post that to the ASCLS website for everyone to be able to use it, be able to access it.
I think this is a great idea. After attending Sunday's president-elect little seminar that we had, a lot of the questions and challenges we were having could be easily sent out to the populace in one of these MEDLAB talks. For example, we were talking about the difference between ASCP, ASCLS, all these other lab organizations, what the acronyms mean, who they are, what they do, especially pertaining to current graduates and what they do after graduation. I think this would be a great opportunity to get that information out there.
Thank you. We agree. Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering, if we decide to do these on our own, is there any moderation? And you know what I mean? Is there somebody who's going to review this before it goes wide with ASCLS on it?
I believe our idea was that at the committee, whoever does, whoever this project lands with, that committee will take applications and stories and then decide what could and could not be broadcast. Lindsay?
So, I'm sure in PDC, and you guys were talking about a tool very similar to this, so I'd love to talk to you guys offline, and maybe we could use that as an avenue to get it published through.
Great. Thanks.
Karen?
So I was just gonna say, echoing off your comment too, I could totally see this fitting the need for when we have those updates from the GAC about what's going on. Because I'll tell you, like from experience, every year going to the legislative symposium, I tried to put together a summary newsletter part that will make enough sense but not be so in depth so that we can publish it in our lab system newsletter. If we had a video link that kind of summed it up but was big and small and just short that way, I know that like all of our team would engage with the video on that aspect. That's really tough to kind of sit through reading, and if they see someone passionate, I think that's an awesome idea to use it to advocate for those things, especially when we have something that's so critical. If you need to get people's attention, you want them to act on it or go talk to their congressperson or senator. Having a video in that face-to-face, like very like she's done in the room already, to be the face, this is so awesome because it really contributes to that.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How did you guys come up with the idea? I'm just curious because I know we've been on the region, but I should we have you as a participant in a committee? It's always a struggle to come up with this, and you've done an awesome job with coming up with something.
I can't remember how, but we actually brainstormed this idea last year at the Leadership Academy. Like on this Saturday, the first Saturday we met, we picked a few topics, and then this one just really stuck throughout the rest of the week.
I think a part of it is, little videos here and there, like Sam was showing me Instagram videos last night, so I'm like, what is Instagram? So, sorry, I'm behind the times. And, like Facebook Live is coming out, and then, just little videos on YouTube. I watch a lot of videos because I'm a craft person, and I think it came to us like, well, why isn't there something like this for medical laboratory science and ASCLS? And so since we don't have anything like that, we thought it might be a good idea for us to create something to help people do little talks that they're like, oh, I have this great idea. What do I do with it? And so anybody can, do a med lab talk.
Christy?
This might also be able to get pulled into that, like, 2,000 some lab stories for next year's conference.
Mm-hmm.
And I might even suggest a separate Facebook page just for MedLab Talks that is sponsored by ACLS, obviously, but not as obviously, so that it promotes sharing amongst all the other lab organizations. And it's not just branded as ASCLS, it's everybody lab, and it makes it a more inclusive community for that information sharing.
Like guest speakers and stuff outside of the organization. Yeah.
Would this be a tool that you would be able to use for a guest speaker that isn't part of ASCLS or maybe even the lab community, but you're bringing them in as a guest speaker? Maybe they're talking about leadership or mentorship that's outside of us specifically. Could they fill this out and perhaps turn that into PACE so that PACE could review a nice short synopsis of their talk for?
Yeah, but I think, sorry, I'll let in Kyle because I know you're sick of talking. But, but I think the thing to keep in mind is that the purpose of a TED Talk, and what you guys talk about, you're talking about something that's about 18 minutes, which is about the time span before you start to lose people. Right. And so I think that you can't start doing like case, things like that. These are kind of almost like, just as somebody who uses TED Talks a lot in our organization and like motivating like people on our board and stuff, that is supposed to be just long enough to kind of whet your appetite, but that you're not full from it. Like it's supposed to like generate your own thoughts and like kind of like as a speaking prompt, but then you're like supposed to go and run with it yourself, right? I mean, you're trying to generate enthusiasm without sitting down in an hour-long talking session. So I think it's really important that you know, and I was flipping through here, I like the fact that there are people who are uncomfortable, someone who's like set up conferences, they're like, feel really nervous about speaking for 15 minutes. But give me an 18 minutes, it's like a cup of coffee. I can do that, you know. And so I think that that's really the important thing with looking at these. There are people who don't feel comfortable talking about session, you know, doing a formal session, but have some really great ideas and viewpoints that you want to make applicable and accessible to other people. So I think this is really nice, especially for some young professionals or, you know, people that maybe, I mean, not all laboratorians are extroverts. So a nice little 18-minute snippet is a nice way to get more people out there.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know who we were talking to and mentioned Spark Talks, but I think we were mentioning maybe we could do like a MEDLAB Talks session maybe next year and have like 4 or 5 people give different MEDLAB talks. So it's like the Spark sessions kind of, but a little different. And then like 4 or 5, you could get a CE for that. Like we could do it all on chemistry or all on micro or something. And I think that people that give like 50-minute speeches could use our guide, but it wouldn't be a MEDLAB talk. It'd be a MEDLAB speech, you know. So I think that's, when we built this, it was intended for, you know, little snippets, like you said, not like an hour and a half long talk or speech.
And I apologize, number 1 was get familiar with this form, and you guys explained very well about the time limit and why you like
Yeah.
it short. So I haven't been familiar yet. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
That's what the guide's for.
Yep.
Because I'm not real tech savvy, but how is the videography done for this? If you wanted to produce a MEDLAB talk, what's the best format for that video tape?
Go ahead when I do this.
That's what I was gonna say. So our hope is that a committee will take over this guide and they will take care of that for us. That wasn't part of our project, I guess. Yeah.
The honest reality is that most people can do it on the phone. I mean, you don't need the glamour necessarily around it. The brilliance now of Facebook Live and Instagram is that put that capacity into the hands of people to get their message out. So even at a state level, if you had somebody that was sitting there at the right angle, they could pick it up and process it.
Yeah, I don't think we intended it to be like as formal as TED Talks with the red circle and it's a big auditorium and things. This is something that, I mean, you could do.
From your computer.
Yeah, you could just sit there and do a MEDLAB talk, so.
Well, we're getting close to time, so I'm going to play the moderator game of ending things here. But as their facilitator, I want to welcome all of you to congratulate them and express your pride in their hard work and their endeavors. So I think it's fair to say we have 6 great future leaders up here.
Here, Sam, get over here, Sam.
Sorry.
Oh, should we go in front of MEDLAB talks? Could we?
Oh, well, I'll like shrink. I guess I'll go to the other side. Or she's going to the other side.
Stay with me and James.
I can just sneak in right here because I'm tall. Should we just like sit in the front?
Oh, that's blinded by the light. Oh, my baby, you were so good. You were so good. Yes, you was. Thank you for being good. Put my phone somewhere.
Now you can enjoy
the rest of the week.
Savor the glory.
Everybody presented very well, so I'm sure that Kyle did prompt you with all the notes.
No, they did it themselves.
Oh, so you're not gonna take that credit.
Give me a